Almost every village now has its own warehouse or depot, and the village office is also the branch of the bank. The cooperative bank makes loans to cocoa marketing societies.
Changes which used to occur.
5 minutes to 12. With me standing on the right hand side of Nkrumah, everybody was happy. The cheering probably is still resounding, but we don't hear it.
At long last, the battle has ended.
Has its own warehouse or depot, and the village office is also the branch of the bank. The cooperative bank makes loans to cocoa marketing societies through their district unions, and these give seasonal credit to their members, which is repaid at harvest time. The farmer's cocoa is taken from the village drying mat to the society's shed, where the beans are weighed, honest weights, tested for quality, and graded. The farmer is paid on the spot. The part of the money he wants to draw, the balance is left as a deposit, which he draws later in bits as he needs it. Cooperative marketing business is efficient, democratic, and popular. That is why it is successful. The society's lorry takes the cocoa to the union warehouse, and from there, the cocoa goes down to the coast, from where most of it is.
This is something of the war effort from the Gold Coast of West Africa, manufacture of soap from cocoa beans. Something of a surprise item for our American visitors who think we make our coffee from soap. Unfortunately, it all looks rather a mess, but so do most processes of manufacture at some stage or the other, and anyway, you don't have to eat it. There's no point in going into a long description of what they're doing or how it's done, because you're never likely to get enough cocoa beans to do it at home. But it's nice to see that the war effort is being pushed ahead, even in these remote corners of our empire. Sappers of the Gold Coast Regiment training in the important job of getting transport across rivers. Since this war started, we've seen many pictures of making pontoon bridges and crossing streams in collapsible boats. Undoubtedly, it's a vital adjunct of military tactics, but there's no doubt that when we get to Venice, it'll seem like a home from home.
This is the Gaumont British News, presenting the world to the world. Church House, Westminster, sees the official opening of Britain's first colonial mount, with a governor's escort of Gold Coast police forming a guard of honor for the arrival of the King and Queen.
Nkrumah's hopes for colonial independence had begun during World War II. United States President Franklin Roosevelt had secured from British Prime Minister Winston Churchill a promise that all nations of the world would be allowed to chart their own political course. Churchill didn't realize it at the time, but it was the beginning of the end for European colonialism.
A new power was on the world scene, the United States of America. And it faced a world which had already been containerized by the European powers. And it said, open up, unlock, we want in. And that unlocking was independence from the American point of view.
As World War II drew to a close, the United Nations was formed. It would provide a forum where nations could meet to address issues of mutual concern. Among the founding principles of this new organization was a declaration of support for political freedom and independence. The colonial powers of Europe vastly underestimated the power this would have.
When I first joined the UN in 1945, I was astonished at particularly the British Foreign Office. And people would say, well, decolonization is a small matter, you know, it'll 100 years, 150 years, maybe. Well, actually it took 20.
Colonialism, of course, is the absolute enemy of open economies and of free trade. Colonialism is about anything. It's about managing economies and restricting access, either formally or informally. And it emphasizes the importance of Africa as a producer of raw materials.
Known to Europeans and Americans for centuries as the Dark Continent, by the late 1880s, European nations had colonized virtually all of Africa. In 1884, they met in Berlin to draw up the political boundaries of their colonies. These boundaries seldom had much to do with the realities of Africa.
This, of course, meant that in some instances they split peoples. In other instances, it meant that people who had been fighting each other before the map was drawn were now put into one administration.